Welcome back. So maybe you have some specific track wheels or tires just for racing days that you don't want to use on your daily vehicle. Or maybe it's the time of year when you need to swap your regular tires out for some winter tires. Whatever the reason, at some point you might find yourself needing to store your tires for an extended period. The easy way, of course, is just to stack them in the corner of the garage and don't give them a second thought until you need them again. But if you really want to keep your tires lasting as long as possible and get the most out of them, here's what you really should be doing. Now, when it comes to storing your tires, there are a few simple rules to keep in mind. Primarily, you want to control the environment they live in. What's the best way to make that happen? Well, let's assume you just took your tires or your wheels off of your car. Naturally, you're going to want to clean them first. Use an appropriate soap and water and really give them a good scrubbing to remove all that road grime and dirt, and then let them dry thoroughly. It may seem like a good idea, but it's best not to use any tire dressings on them at this point. Tire compounds are already formulated to resist cracking and other environmental stressors, and many of these products will do more harm than good when the tire is not being used. Now, the goal is to keep as much of the natural oils in the rubber as possible, so you want to store each tire in its own opaque plastic bag, maybe like the type you find in garden stores for bagging leaves. Try to remove as much air as possible. If you have a vacuum like a shop vac, then use that to suck any excess air out, then seal the bag tightly to avoid any new air from getting in. There are tire totes and containers that you can use as well to help move wheels around, but these are not airproof and are not good for long-term storage, so even if you choose to use them, store your tires in the plastic bags first. Now remember, many of these bags are designed to be biodegradable, and some are triggered by heat and UV from the sun or sometimes moisture to start that breakdown process. So you want to cover your bags and keep them away from these environments as well. Now, where practical, store your tires in the most stable environment you have, away from places with extreme temperature variations or high humidity. You want somewhere cool and dry with some ventilation. Also, remember not to store them near generators, furnaces, or large motors, because aside from heat, these larger items with electric brush motors generate small amounts of ozone, which over time is possibly the most destructive element for rubber. It might also seem obvious, but try not to store them near solvents like fuels or other lubricants or strong chemicals. Now, if the tires are already on wheels like the ones we have here, the best way to store them is to stack them on top of each other or to hang them up. If the tires aren't mounted on wheels, then the best way to store them is upright next to each other, turning them every few weeks. But don't hang them up in this case, because over time this can actually cause them to lose their shape and go out of run. It might be a good idea to mark which tires were on which axle or hub, so that when you go to refit them later, you can use this opportunity to rotate them. Now, what if it's the entire car that's being stored? Well, the ideal thing would be to put the vehicle on jack stands and remove and store the wheels as we just discussed. But what if removing them is not an option? Well, in this case, one of the things you want to make sure of is that you don't leave your tires in one position for too long, as this can deform and create flat spots on the bottom of the tires where they sit on the ground. While these flat spots often resolve after a bit of driving, if left too long, they can become permanent and cause major issues. Make sure the tires are inflated to the recommended pressure and remove as much weight from the vehicle as possible. As often as you can, or maybe every month or so, rotate each wheel to a different spot. This periodic movement will help avoid those flat spots we talked about and reduce ozone or weather cracking as well. Now, no matter what you do, you can't completely stop your tires from aging, but you can slow it down significantly and maintain their quality by following these tips. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe, as we're always adding new content. Oh, and remember, drive safe.